yeah, this one was looking great. It was starting out perfectly. Everything was going just right until it wasn't.
Bruh.
Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Ed here with the Timber and Pine, and in this video I want to share with you how I was able to achieve this custom flag. This flag had it all. It had a custom union, had custom text in the stripes of the flag, it had custom images within the stripes of the flag, and to top it all off, it was a tiling job. This was the biggest flag I've tiled on my CNC, but it did take 3 attempts to get it just right. I even replaced the entire wasteboard, got a brand new wasteboard on there just to make sure that the alignment was fixed. And did it fix my issues? No, even the brand new supplemental wasteboard that I put on my CNC did not fix the issues that I originally had with the alignment. With that being said, not only am I going to show you how to take it from beginning to end, how to create everything, give you the toolpath settings that I use, but I'm also going to give you that one detail, that one tip that you're going to want to keep handy just in case you ever run into alignment issues as well, if you're ever going to tile. One last thing before jumping into Carbide Create, since there is personal information on this flag, I will not be showing you guys the entire video clips of the carving process. Unfortunately, I do have to zoom in on certain areas, so it may look a little bit grainy, but I hope you guys understand why I'm doing that. I cannot share some of this information. So let's just go ahead and jump into Carbide Create, and we'll take it from the very top.
All right, guys, so jumping into Carbide Create, the very first thing that I want to do is I want to start with the easiest thing first, and that's going to be getting this badge within the stripes. So go ahead and bring in whatever logo or badge, whatever it is that you want to be putting in within the stripes, and bringing it over. And when the very first thing that I want to do is resize it to fit within the stars, excuse me. And I like to have my design be between the stars at the top and the bottom. So I want it to fit within that. I don't like to cut these stars off. So I'll just keep resizing to what I think looks best. Let's just start there. I have the badge or whatever the image may be highlighted. Hold shift and select the stars and come over here to the align vectors option, and I'm going to align horizontally and vertically. And as you can see here, I'm cutting these stars off, so I don't personally like that, so I'm going to continue to resize that down. Hold shift and select the stars, align horizontally and vertically. Okay, it looks like just barely too big, so once more. Okay, there we go. So now the badge is not touching this top row of stars or this bottom one. To be able to now get it merged within these stripes, what we want to do is we want to select the badge. We're going to create an offset vector. We're going to use a distance of 0.15 and the direction is going to be outside. We're going to apply, and there are some additional vectors or outside vectors that were created. So what we want to do is we want to hold shift, deselect the outermost vector, and just press delete, and that deletes all these extra offset that we don't want. With the offset created, you're going to select your stars, you're going to hold shift and select the outermost vector, which is the offset, and you're going to click on Boolean subtraction. Go ahead and click OK, and that deletes all the stars and kind of cuts them off correctly here that are overlapping within that offset that was created, but it is now deleted. It has now been subtracted. So what you want to do is you want to come in here and delete all these extra ones, or at least I like to delete all these extra ones that I really don't like. So go ahead and clean it up yourself. And there we have it. Our custom union is created now. And now we can move on to the next step. In this flag, I want the circle image and then this one here. And I want them to be overlapping like that. So what I want to do is I want to first resize everything and make it look proportional. What I want to do next is edit this image here on the right hand side, this emblem, and prepare it for carving. As it's set up, it's not going to carve correctly as it is. So what I want to do is I want to create an outside vector on this image because I want to V-carve this outside vector or outside shape. So to do that, again, I select everything. I'm going to create the offset vector, and then I want a distance of 0.15 again, and the direction is going to be outside. So go ahead and click apply. And as you can see here, I got some extra offsets that were created, but I'll just go ahead and hold shift and deselect the outermost one that I do want and delete the rest. Now I can go ahead and select everything and group everything. Now I do want this image here to be overlapped a little bit, just like that. But how do I get the images to be aligned vertically? I could set it up like this and it's not going to look good, or I could set it up like this. But how do I get it to be even, proportional? All you got to do is select this image on the right or any image and select the other one, assuming that they're all grouped in their own individual image. So this is grouped here and this is grouped like this. With those images grouped, I can then bring this one over, or any one of these, and overlap it however you want it. Hold shift and select the other. And now I'm going to click on align vectors and align vertically. And now the images are aligned vertically. Now I want to merge this image here on the right hand side to this circular image. What I want to do is I want to create an outside offset again. So let's go ahead and select the image. We're going to click on offset vectors. Our distance is going to be 0.15 and the direction is going to be outside again. Again, we have some offsets that were created that we do not want. So hold shift, deselect the outermost vector, and delete all the offset vectors that we don't want. Now with the extra offset vector that we have here, we are going to select the image that is going to be merged into, and then we're going to hold shift and select the offset vector, and we're going to click on Boolean subtraction and click OK. And now, as you can see, our image here on the right hand side is merged into the circular image on the left hand side. For whatever reason, when you do a Boolean function, it's going to ungroup your image. So right now, immediately after you are done doing your Boolean subtraction or any Boolean tool function, you want to come in here and group the vectors again. So now I have this circle vector grouped, this image on the right hand side grouped, and because I do want to keep this together, I'm going to select them both and group them both. Now what I want to do is I want to bring this image, both of these images, and merge them within the stripes of the American flag. So this requires me to resize it again. If you're doing something similar, go ahead and resize it to what you think looks best. I'm okay with this right now. So what I want to do is I want to align this image or these two images and align them to be centered within the stripe. So the very first thing that we want to do is we want to select our image, hold shift, and select the very first stripe that is on the flag. We're going to then click on align vectors and we're going to align it horizontally. The flag is now aligned horizontally to this first stripe. Next, what I want to do is hold shift and deselect the top stripe, keeping the image selected, and I'm going to come back into the align vectors option and align vertically. And now my logos are centered within the stripes of the flag. The next step is to use the Boolean subtraction function again and have the stripes go around this image. So what do we have to do to achieve that? Well, you guessed it, we are going to create an offset vector once again. So select our image. We're going to come back over here to the offset vectors option. Our distance is going to be 0.15 and the direction is outside. This offset distance, it could be whatever you want. In this case, I just have 0.15 selected. It's already entered, so I'm going to keep everything proportional to that. That's why I keep using this exact same distance, but it could be whatever you want. So go ahead and click apply once you have your value. Like we have done before, we want to hold shift and deselect the outermost offset, and we're going to delete all the extra ones that were created. For this next step, you want to make sure that your stripes are selected and grouped. So let's go ahead and group our stripes. We're going to select them all by holding shift. With the stripe selected, we're going to hold shift and we're going to click on the outermost vector, which is the offset, and we're going to click on Boolean subtraction again. And now our stripes go around the image. After you do that, you're going to come in here and start cleaning up some of these vectors that you don't want. You can delete those. I think that's the only one that I don't think would look good. So there we have it. Our image is now centered and it is blended or merged within the stripes of the flag. One additional thing that we want to add to this particular flag is a name. So let me go ahead and show you how I'm able to achieve that. I won't show you the actual name, so we'll just use an example simply because this is a law enforcement flag and I don't want to share anybody's name. This is going to be a thin blue line flag and I'm going to add a name to this bottom stripe here. This is going to be a black stripe and I want to add a name to this stripe. To be able to achieve the correct alignment, I want to copy and paste this stripe here. And I'm going to attach it to this node here. And now I have a stripe for reference. Once this is copied and attached, I'm going to click on this text option and I'm going to type in a name, whatever name it is that you want to add. Let's just use an example here real quick. Once you have your text created, we're going to resize it because we do want it to fit in most of the stripes. Select the text, hold shift and select the stripe, and in the align vectors option we're going to align horizontally and vertically. And let's take a look. This looks like it might be a little bit too big, so what I want to do is I want to resize it and just do that same process once again. So now the text is sized how I want it. It looks great within the stripes, and it is centered within this bottom stripe. Because I don't want to pocket this stripe, I'm going to now select the stripe that I copied, and then I'm going to delete that. Now my flag is completely designed and ready for toolpaths.
Before actually creating the toolpaths, I recommend that you take the time to start setting up your groups for your toolpaths. For example, I have stars set up as a group. I have the text here within the badge as a group. The star and the eagle are a group. So go ahead and just start setting up your different groups for the different toolpaths that you're going to want to use. Once you have that set up, go ahead and create the tiles. This particular flag here in this example is 24 by 48 inches long. What I like to do is I like to create tiles that split the flag or split the sign. You may not be making a flag, but in this case it is a flag, so I like to split the flag in half. So my tiles are going to be 24 by 24. I always like to start here on the right hand side. So I'm going to bring in my first tile and attach it to the grid just like that. Before actually creating the tile, I like to consider for a second, or I like to think about what is it that I'm going to pull away with my tile once I have it finished. So I know for a fact that my CNC has a cutting area of 33 by 33 inches approximately. So I typically don't carve anything larger than 30 or 31 inches. With that being said, I know that my tile is only 24 inches wide. So that means that I do have the ability to be able to add additional things that are outside of this tile. So that's what I'm going to do right now, is I'm going to keep certain things and carve it all as one tile. So for example, I'm going to keep these stripes here on the left hand side. I'm going to keep these grouped with this tile. I'm also going to keep this text complete like that. I'm not going to split it down the center here or split it down where this tile is cutting through it. Also, this text I'm actually going to split. I'm going to keep this entire text as awesome and then the badge number. One thing to keep in mind when you create text in Carbide Create is that sometimes you may not be able to ungroup the text. So this is the line of text that I originally created, but as you can see here, I cannot ungroup it. The way to fix this, or to be able to manipulate your groups here, is by double clicking on it. In the create text option, you're going to click on convert to curves. And that's it, guys. That allows me to have individual vectors, individual letter vectors. So now I can go ahead and group whatever I want to say. Like in this example, the tile is going to be awesome and then the badge number. Well, I can go ahead and do that now. So that's something to keep in mind when working with text in Carbide Create. So that takes care of the text, and I have this group here already set to go for this tile. The only thing that I will tile is going to be this bottom stripe. This stripe does extend throughout the whole flag, so I do need to tile this one. To be able to do that, I do need to create an extra tile. We're going to create two here. So I have the original one and this second one. I'm going to overlap it. I'm then going to select the stripe, hold shift and select the extra tile and click on Boolean intersection. So that's going to split this stripe right here in this area, creating the half of that stripe that I need to keep with this right hand side. Once I have that split, I'm just going to add this stripe to the remaining stripes and make that a group. And as you can see here, I have everything already set up in my groups. So I'm just going to hold shift and click on every single one. And then once they're all selected, once all my groups are selected, I'm going to group the entire tile. And now I can move this off to the side, just like that. If you have an extra tile, that's okay. You can go ahead and just delete that. And now I'm set to go. Once that right-hand side is completed, all I have to do is bring back this stripe, reattach it, and do the exact same thing for this side. So go ahead and create a second or duplicate tile, select the stripe, hold shift, select your tile, and then click on Boolean intersection, and that'll cut the stripe right down this center line, giving you this left half. Once you have the split, you can go ahead and group it to whatever group that you originally had it or wanted in, and hold shift and select all your other groups. Include your tile and group the entire tile. Now this left-hand side is complete and ready to go. Now that my tiles are complete, now I can go ahead and set up my toolpaths. Because I can only carve up to 33, 31, 30 inches, I can't carve this flag in this horizontal orientation. I have to flip it vertically. So to do that, I just simply come back to the job setup screen, and I'm going to flip these numbers. The width now is going to be 24 inches, and the height is now 48 inches. I'm going to click on my tiles, and I'm going to rotate them 270 degrees. And now I can place the first tile here on the lower left-hand side, lower left-hand corner. just like that. When it comes time to carve the actual tile, I do need to get rid of this tile, the actual tile. I do not need that. So I'm going to ungroup everything, get rid of this one. And now I'm going to set up my toolpaths on these vectors. Let's go ahead and talk about these toolpaths real quick. I'll show you what I set them up as. For the very first toolpath, I'm going to group everything. I grouped everything because I want this to be a flat bottom. So everything is going to be carved as an advanced V-carve. For this toolpath, I am going to enable the area pocket tool. I'm going to use a 201 1/4" end mill. The plunge and feed rate are 80-90, RPM is at 18,000. I am going to clean it up with a 60-degree V-bit. My plunge and feed rate are the same, 80-90, and the RPM is 18,000. The max depth for this advanced V-carve, I kept at 0.04. Once that is done, I then reset my Z0 around this general area here in this circle, and then I did a 60-degree V-bit V-carve, only a V-carve, and the settings are 60-70, plunge rate at 60 and feed rate at 70, RPM at 18,000. The max depth is set to stock bottom. The key here for this particular carve is that you want to set your Z0 above the material. You don't want to be touching the material because you will be losing some of the detail. If you set your Z0 above the material, it'll still plunge into the material, but not as deep as it would typically do. That's just a tip that somebody shared with me, so I want to share with you. Once this tile is done, you're going to go ahead and bring in the next tile. I'm just going to keep everything together so I don't lose it. Next, you're going to bring in the second tile in the program, and you're going to run it on the second half of your material. For the second tile, once you have it set up, you go ahead and remove the tile, and then you can go ahead and run your toolpath on the groups that you have created already. So these stars were cut using a V-carve toolpath using a 90-degree V-bit. The plunge and feed rate were 80-90, RPM at 18,000. The max depth was stock bottom for these stars. For the eagle within the badge and the star, I did a V-carve as well with a 60-degree V-bit. The settings were 70-80 for the plunge and feed rate, RPM at 18,000, and the max depth was set to stock bottom as well. Again, you want to set your Z0 above the material. That way you're able to get finer details in something like this. For the text within the badge, I used an advanced V-carve with a 1/8 end mill with the settings of 80-90, RPM at 18,000. And then it got cleaned up with a 60-degree V-bit with the plunge rate of 70 and a feed rate of 80, RPM at 18,000. The max depth is going to be 0.03. And lastly, for the straps and the remaining text, I'm going to use an advanced V-carve as well. With the pocket tool enabled, I'm going to use a 201 1/4" end mill with the settings of 80-90 for plunge and feed rate, RPM at 18,000, and it's going to get cleaned up with a 60-degree V-bit with a plunge rate of 80, feed rate of 90, RPM at 18,000, with the max depth of 0.03. Since the third attempt was the final and successful attempt on creating this tiling job, what I did to be able to ensure that my tiles were aligned correctly was I did copy one of these stripes, one of these halves, and made it smaller to just do a small little test carve on my alignment. So what I did is I just brought this copy in, brought it here, and on the second tile, I did the advanced V-carve just on this smaller vector here. The only difference was that I made my max depth to be 0.01. I wanted to just barely touch the surface to be able to confirm whether or not I was aligned correctly. As you'll see here in a moment, I was not aligned correctly. So thankfully, I only barely carved into the material, that I was still able to salvage it. In a little bit, I'll show you how I was able to fix this misalignment. We're going to pick it up right here after the pocketing toolpath has been done, but the V-bit is still to come. I wanted to keep this clip in here because I wanted to show you that I was just so defeated. I thought with the brand new wasteboard, I thought my alignment issues were going to be done, but I was still getting alignment issues, and just wanted to share with you that I still make mistakes all the time.
The V-bit is going to complete the stripe. It's going to come up higher, and it's going to be like up here somewhere. And you can tell that this is higher than this position here. So I'm still off somehow. Dang. I can't figure it out.
I did end up running the V-bit as well, even though I knew the alignment was off. I think at this point, I just wanted to get this project over with, and I was aware of the risk that I might even have to start over. but I'm glad I did it because then I figured out how to fix this. As you can see here, the test pocket was a little bit up or raised at this angle. If you can imagine now, the flag has been rotated, right? It's rotated on the CNC wasteboard and it's been secured that way. So now this visual that you're seeing is me standing from the side. So you can see that this smaller pocket is raised or a little bit higher than the pocket that was on the right hand side, or the strap that was on the right hand side tile. So to fix that, I lowered my X0 down, or really technically left, 2 clicks at the second to lowest interval. So 2 clicks to the left. By doing this, now my pocket is going to be lowered, and as you can see here in a little bit, it fixes this issue. So keep that in mind. If you're having alignment issues and you do a test carve, you may have to reset your X ever so slightly to make sure that your second tile is aligned to the original or the right hand tile. So let me just show you some clips of this happening in real time.
All right, guys, so I don't know if you're able to see that all too well, but I think that is a major improvement. Let me stop shaking here and grab my 30-degree V-bit. So you can see that this is the original stripe that we want. Before we were like up here. Now we're like slightly below it now. So I think that this is within a margin of error that I'm trying to say, yeah, that I'm okay with that margin of error right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and just run it. I'm just gonna send it. For this part, I'm going to sand and stain it. Probably just gonna stain it now and then run the entire stripe. I'm gonna use a Sharpie to fill this in. All right, guys, so we're just gonna go ahead and do a little bit of sanding after we're done here to get this a little bit cleaned up. I don't think you'll be even able to notice it.
I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. I couldn't be doing this without you guys. I appreciate all the support and all the comments, and I'll see you guys on the next video.